Hey guys, M37 here. It's 12:55 p.m. Eastern Time on a Monday, September 24th. I'm bringing to you the Mod 15 Devoted Cleric class changes. These are currently on preview. They are subject to change, so some things may be added, and some things may be taken away. If you see something you don't like, get on the forums, protest it. Group together. You gotta fight these things. You gotta make it known in order to get the changes that you may want to keep. Okay, let's jump right into it. Hey, Devoted Clerics. The main goals that we had for Devoted Cleric in this patch were to fix their divinity generation by smoothing it out and making it a bit more clear, and to once again hit the 2TC meta. We're going to hit the 2TC meta. So we're wanting to get rid of that. Now, all this stuff is supposed to go live on November the 6th. Starting with the divinity generation, we noticed that it was incredibly punishing to try and manage your divine power in non-constructive ways. An example of this is if you have no bonus divine generation and attack an enemy with Lance of Faith, you will have 299.6 divinity on your 7th attack. This means you waste almost an entire attack filling up that last 0.4 divinity. This has some engaging gameplay in that if you want to maximize your divinity gain, you should be spending it constantly and never filling it to full. However, we felt that it wasn't interesting enough and should just be less detrimental to your rotation overall. As a result, your 8th attack will now grant you exactly 300 divinity. While this is a nerf overall, we have increased the amount of divinity gain on feats and class features. If you have everything that now increases divinity, you should actually end up seeing a very small net gain, though this includes having Avatar of the Divine active. We also wanted to adjust the divine mode at will powers. Punishing light and soothing light, these powers weren't consistent with each other and drained divinity at different rates. We also felt that the rate it drained was very slow. Both powers will now drain divinity at the same rate and be more effective and drain faster than before. Here we go. For Divine Oracle, we decided to hit this spec the most because it was something that we buffed into the past that skyrocketed it into popularity. Unfortunately, it increased it so much so that it became valuable enough to warrant always having one. To address this, we have removed the team-based damage buff from Terrifying Insight and made it personal. It will now grant a damage resistance debuff on the other hand and increase your own damage by 25%. No damage buff for Terrifying Insight any longer, except for buffing yourself, the DO. But it also it will now grant a damage resistant debuff. So I guess that's for the party. On the other hand, and increase your own damage by 25. Okay. Finally, Avatar of the Divine has been revamped a bit to be more damage oriented and to allow for a heavy damage build. While we don't think clerics will be jumping into the ranks of high DPS, no, you're not going to feel any meta of HDPS callouts. We think this will give them a very viable solo gameplay. Guess you're going to be soloing now, DCs. DOs, DC DOs. on that loadout anyway. Baseline, Divinity at Will's Punishing Light, damage dealt increased by 103%. Divinity Drain increased by 100%. AP gain increased by 53%. Damage dealt scales a bit less with character level. Soothing Light, Healing Done increased by 75%. Divinity Drained increased by 57%. It ticks were 52% faster. Matches Punishing Light tick speed. Healing Done skills at a bit less with character level. Divinity Generation Smoothing, Gift of the Gods, up to 25% Divine Power Generation, that's unchanged. Divine Fortune, base Divine Power Generation increased to 20%, that's up from 5%. Bountiful Fortune, 20% up to 20%. Divine Power Generation is up to 15%. Divinity, Divine Power Generation is now additive rather than multiplicative. Divinity, base Divine Power Generation decreased by 12%. Alright then. Let's dump down here into powers. Forge Master's Flame now deals a small amount of damage and then applies a damage over time effect to the target. Empowered, it now consumes all stacks of Empowered to increase the damage dealt by Forge Master's Flame by 20% per stack and grants Astral Forge to all nearby allies when cast. Astral Forge increases damage resistance of allies by 5% per stack for 8 seconds. Previously increased damage of Forge Master's Flame by 10%. And damage. Instead, damage resistance by 5%. Forge Master's Flame fixed an issue where the slow would attack on unreasonable amount. Where the slow would stack an unreasonable amount. Yeah. The slow no longer increases with each rank up. Hastening Light. Base recharge has increased to 1.5. That's up from 1 second. Rank up recharge time reduced to 0.5. That's down 0.5. Well, no, that's down from 1 second. Yeah, that's down 0.5. Boy. Living Fire now triggers when you drop below 35% hit points instead of 30%. Now lasts for 5 seconds after it was triggered, even if you are healed above 35%. Piercing Light, armor penetration increased to 20%, up to 20%. That's up from 10%. Avatar of the Divine reworked. The first power you use after entering combat grants you Avatar for 20 seconds. You also gain this effect every 45 seconds in combat. Avatar increases your damage dealt by 50%, Divinity Generation by 25%, and cooldown speed by 25%. Leaving combat cancels Avatar and resets its cooldown. Casting encounters will reduce the cooldown time of Avatar by 1.5 seconds for each stack of Empowered consumed. VO changes. Foresight base damage resistance is increased to 4%. That's up from 2. Training Sight. Seeing the inevitable destruction of your foes. You deal up to 25% more damage. Damaging an enemy also lowers their damage resistance by 10% for 5 seconds. And that is just buffing you. That's not your allies. Prophecy of Doom. Empowered. Damage resistance reduction lowered to 2.5% per Empowered Orb. That's down from 5%. Animation speed is reduced to 1.4 seconds. That's down from 1.8 seconds. Brand of the Sun. This power will no longer generate divine power while the player is in divine mode. This should fix an issue where players would sometimes not leave divine mode after casting all 3 divine encounter powers. So the Terrifying Insight one, yeah, right here, this guy even comments, Terrifying Insight, seeing the inevitable destruction of foes you deal up to 25% more damage. Damaging an enemy also lowers their damage resistance by 10% for 5 seconds. This right here effectively removes the DODC from the game. An AC using power buffing is going to give any party a far larger damage increase now than any DO will be able to, even combining this with Hallowed Ground. Combining Terror Insight with Hallowed Ground still isn't going to come near the damage buff. Well, actually, that damage buff for Terrifying Insight only is for the DO himself. That doesn't even go out to your party anymore. Far larger damage increase, yeah. Definitely. Who's going to even want a DO now with a nerf to Terrifying Insight? Good thing you're balancing stuff. The DODC will still be go-to build for solo play, though. Yeah. Well, there goes your meta. I think they'll be, instead of running the DO and AC, they'll be pretty much running the AC and the SW now. Tent block. I see that coming. That's what I predict. What about you guys? Alright, this is M37. I hope you guys are enjoying your day. And stay tuned for more videos to come. If you haven't subscribed, please do. As always, send me any questions you want, comments, put them on there. I'll respond to them as soon as I can.